What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into the, second to last, I think. Second to last, or maybe the last. I don't know. We'll see what happens next week. Hi, my name is Matt Perrault. I'm the host of the Daily Juice podcast here with BettingPros. Every Sunday, we've been doing these live streams, and I don't yet know about the Super Bowl. I'm going to Los Angeles, so I'm going to be there up until Friday night. And then I think I'll be back here on Sunday morning doing our we did it last year. It was fun. We had a full on, I don't know. I can't remember how long we went last year, but for the Super Bowl, but it's incredible. This is the last Sunday that we have two games. We won't have another Sunday with two games until September of 2022. Feels like a long time from now, unfortunately, but we are here for championship weekend. I'm going to give you player props. I'll tell you where the numbers are going. I'll try to answer some questions that you guys may have here during the chat as we'll roll through. You had 100 people waiting to get on this thing, so very cool to see you guys. Good morning. Well, yeah, it's morning, right? Everywhere in the country, it's morning. Yeah, it's still morning on the East Coast. So morning here, Vegas, early in the morning, as we look at these games. Noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time kickoff for the first game, second game to follow after that. All right, so first we'll look at the money and the line movement and where we are. Then I'll give you player props. Then I'll give you my thoughts. You already know this, or you should know this from the Daily Juice. I am on plus 7.5 for the Bengals. I am on plus 3.5 for the Niners. I'm taking both dogs here today. Call it square, call it whatever you want, okay? I do think KC wins. I do think there's a decent shot San Francisco wins, okay? I'm not as confident, and I've got personal plays and things going with the Chiefs and, kind of a hedge on the plus 800 or 7.5 to 1 bet that I have on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. And really, if the Bengals win this game, my Super Bowl will be beautiful. So I want the Bengals to win this game. I'll hedge a little bit on the Chiefs, but I want the Bengals to win this game because then I'm sitting pretty with a 7.5 to 1 ticket going into the Super Bowl. I can bet to the other side and I can watch the game from a money line perspective. It doesn't really matter to me who ends up winning. I'll win money either way. So that's how I played it. Kind of put a flag down in the sand and said, okay, and you can still do that. I mean, you still bet it. If you want to follow that, you can follow that right now before the games kick. But my philosophy basically is I'm going to sit there and say, all right, best value on the board if the Bengals do win. And I understand this. Tom Brady is the only quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game at Arrowhead. It was in this game, though, this round. Everyone's saying, is Joe Burrow the next Tom Brady? Well, here's a pretty big step forward in that conversation if he goes into Arrowhead and beats the Chiefs here today. But if that happens, then we're sitting pretty. If not, it's worth the flyer in my mind because, again, you can hedge off of it like I'm going to. I'm going to hedge off. I'll have a Chief money line bet. Although the Chiefs money line at minus 330 is just, it's not really – there's such little value there. I mean, I don't know. I may need to parlay that together and may need to parlay like a favorite Rams and Chiefs parlay, but that's not going to win a whole lot of money. So, you may want to go the other way and go with the two dogs and go Bengals and go with the Niners or go with Chiefs Niners. I think Chiefs Niners, a rematch of the Super Bowl from a couple of years ago, to give Jimmy Garoppolo a second crack at Mahomes in the postseason would be really nice. I think the NFL is sitting pretty right now with this Final Four. And a lot of times we talk about market sizes and say, hey, it's not really since he's a small market, right? KC's a small market, but I think the quarterbacks make this an incredibly attractive for all four. I mean, San Francisco brings a monster media market and a passionate fan base. Los Angeles brings, the number 2 media market in the country and the site of the Super Bowl going on. We've got Cincinnati, small market, big personality quarterback in Joe Burrow. And then obviously, you've got the Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs. So pretty good spot right now for where the NFL is, regardless of the combination of this Final Four. I think the league will be happy with what comes out of it, right? I mean, the halftime show alone is going to have people jumping up and down and watching this Super Bowl. If you haven't seen who's performing, go ahead. It's like the Rap Avengers are playing at the Super Bowl. It's going to be really, really incredible. And I'm psyched to get over there. I've never actually been to a Super Bowl week. I'm not going to the game, but I've never been to a media event. And so I'm going to be in City Market, broadcasting out of there. So looking forward to doing that. So when you guys are watching the Daily Juice, you're going to get it from the house we've Airbnb'd in the Hollywood Hills. We're staying in the Hollywood Hills. So, hopefully it's a nice setup. It looks nice at least on the website. It looks nice on Airbnb, but we'll see once we get there, what it's really like when we get in there. But we'll be staying there for 3 nights, and I'll be doing the juice from there, and we'll be running around Los Angeles, talking to a bunch of people, breaking down the game, and having a lot of fun. So that's all coming up here in a couple of weeks. Okay, so first question, Matt is asking, and this is here with teasers: Cincinnati plus 13.5, and the Niners at plus 9.5. I will do this. Yeah, I will do this teaser. That I will have a personal play on that teaser going today to taking both teams. So I'm on plus 3.5 Niners, plus 7.5 Bengals, but I've also teased the totals. Okay, I've taken the total for the Bengals and the Chiefs and pulled it down to 48.5 and bet the over. And I've done the opposite with the late game with the Niners and the Rams. I've taken it up to 51.5 and I've bet under. Okay. There aren't too many key numbers when it comes to betting totals, but 41, 44, 51, 54 are considered the 4 big key numbers when it comes to where totals will go. Pretty big discrepancy between 44 and 51, right? But 51, crossing 51 and taking under is getting through a key number and going down. I like that. Going through 51 and 54 for that matter, when you pull it down to go to the over, I like that as well. So I could easily see this game finishing 28-24. Bengals cover, Chiefs win, 51 points get scored, under comes in. Okay. When we have games like this, we have games. My microphone's cutting out. Since when is my microphone cutting out? That's a first. I don't know. Interesting. My microphone's never. Sure, it might be your connection. I don't know if we're having. It'll be the first time in the history of this live stream that my microphones are cutting out. So that might be on your end, not on my end. But let me know if the mic is not sounding proper, and I'll figure out a way of fixing that. But look at, I think if you are looking at, those, the way the books are shading everything. Okay. The books are shading everything to the over. Okay. Okay. That was just you. Okay, good. The books are shading everything to the over for the Bengals and the Chiefs, and they're shading really everything to the under for the Rams and the Niners. It's just the way the public's coming in. It's our perception. It's what we've seen. We've watched a lot of football this season. So have the books. So the books are going to take our own, what we saw recently, and play it against us. Okay. It's just kind of how they're going to do it. Everybody's on Joe Burrow over passing yards today. Everyone's on Jamar Chase over receiving yards today. Everyone's on Deebo Samuel over everything today. Everyone's on Patrick Mahomes over everything today. Everyone's on team total Chiefs over today. Okay. Just understand what the books know. The books know as much as you know. The books know more than you know. And the books know and anticipate how you're going to bet. Okay. So on days like this, just understand, I have no problem with running with the masses. I have no problem with doing your own game breakdown. But just so you guys know, the numbers of where the public money is and the numbers of what, percentages the books have, I'll give you a couple. They don't mean anything. In particular today, they don't mean anything. Okay. The limits are very high, right? The books are taking 100K, 200K consistently. You're not going to hear about it. Not everyone's going to be reporting it. It's, they can't keep up. They can't give us the data fast enough to find out where their numbers are. You can make some jumps and some assumptions, but just understand that you have to do your own handicap here. All right. There is no public money. There is no public side. There are 3 football games left. Okay. The books, if they've done their job, okay, the books are very comfortable with breaking even today. Just go 0, break even, move on. Okay. Same thing with the Super Bowl. They want to win a lot of money in the futures market if they've priced things properly and they've won their money during the regular season. And so here we go. All right. So that's kind of the way it is, the way it's going to go. All right. So just for instance, FanDuel, just to tell you what FanDuel is reporting today, FanDuel currently are they at 7.5? Are they the only ones at 7.5? That would be kind of interesting. The rest of the world's at 7. Hold on. Let me see. Let me bring up FanDuel real quick because That would be somewhat surprising if they're the only ones at 7.5. They're at 7. Okay, so that email's wrong. Which, as I said, the email they send the email out, and who knows? They're at 7. The world's at 7. That's why I took 7.5 yesterday. Told everybody in the Discord channel jump on 7.5 because this is the number. Okay, kind of like a blacksmith. When it comes to numbers like this, the pros and the public, we hammer the number to a blade. So 6.5 was the open. The pros bet it to 7. It crossed over 7 because public money followed it, got it to 7.5. Once it hit 7.5, the pros took the other side and they hammered it down to 7. You want to know why it went down to 7? It's because pros are on both sides of this game. Pros are on 6.5, pros are on 7.5. Pros want this game to end 7. If this game lands 7, really bad for the books. Okay. Because one, they're going to refund all the late money. They're going to pay out all the early money, and they're going to pay out all the 7.5s. So if this game were to end 28-21 or 35-28, whatever, that's really bad news for the books. So if you're looking for a scenario as to what do they don't want to have happen? They don't want this game to land 7 because of where this line move has gone. The difference with the San Fran and 49er game is that this number, we really haven't seen enough time at 4 for any type of middle to actually occur here. It opened up at 3. It was bet to 3.5. It went all the way to 4, and then it came back to 3.5. And that's pretty much where it has stayed and not moved. The only movement we've seen really with this game is on the total, which was 46.5 at certain books and now down to 45.5 here. And a lot of people are coming in on the under. So 7, it's a pretty 50-50 split on bet percentage, KC or Cincinnati. A lot of love for Cincinnati. You got 61% of the handle, however, at FanDuel coming in. Larger wagers coming in at FanDuel on the KC Chiefs, laying 6.5, laying 7. The total at 54.5 hasn't really moved all that much. You got 72% of the bets on the over, as you would expect. 71% of the handle also on the over, but you do have 29%, 30% of the money on the under. Okay. And the reason is that is professional money saying we're going to fade the public because the public is betting over like the game already happened. Okay. Public is going to bet what they saw last time. Public is saying, hey, at Cincinnati, 34-31. Joe Burrow threw for 466 yards. Jamar Chase had 260 some odd yards. I mean, huge catches and plays, and that's going to happen all over again. It's going to happen exactly like that. The Bills just lit up that secondary. Here comes Burrow and Chase and company, and they're going to do the same thing. I don't know. Okay. I just would be careful with that. That's why I teased it down. Because I think they get to 50, even 51, 52. Okay. I just don't know if they cross 54.5. It's a key number, and it's a lot of points that need to be scored to get over. Okay. Look, for my Bengals plus 7.5 bet to really be live, I would prefer it to be a lower scoring game. I would prefer the under to be in play for plus 7.5. It makes it more valuable. We get into a crazy shootout back and forth. Maybe. I still think a backdoor is really possible in this game. That's how we get to the cover on the 7.5. But, I'm not going to stand on a table and, pound the desk and be like, absolutely, this is going to be a, blowout. Bengals are going to kill the Chiefs, or the Chiefs are going to kill the Bengals. I think we're going to be in for a good game. I really do. And I think Joe Burrow is going to do some big things. All right, let's talk about props here for the first game. As I told you guys on the Daily Juice this morning, I have 3 bets going on each one of these games. I'm going to give you 6 player props. Normally, I only do 4. I'm doing 6 because it's championship weekend. Okay, let's start with Joe Burrow. I'm not going to go near the overall yardage. All right, it could happen, and Joe Burrow does have a huge game. Everyone on over 285, over 290. Understood. All right. I'm not going to fight you on it. I understand. I'm going to take the easy way out here. Okay. Joe Burrow, 24.5 completions is minus 110. Okay. This was widely available this morning. The reason why I like completions over yardage is because I do think, and you saw it in the last game with those swing passes, what was the biggest reception for Jamar Chase? It was when the cornerback missed the tackle on the quick out and he went for 60 yards. I think there's going to be a lot of dink and dunk underneath stuff available for Joe Burrow. I think the Chiefs are going to say, look, we're going to try to keep everything in front of us. We're going to make Joe Burrow kind of play the same game that we just made the Bills play with Josh Allen, right? We want you to throw underneath. We don't want you over the top. We're going to not allow Stephon Diggs to beat us. We're not going to allow Jamar Chase to beat us. We're going to have a lot of underneath throws to other people other than Jamar Chase, all right? So I'm going over 24.5 completions for 30 was the number in the first game, okay? He completed 30 passes. Burrow's been pretty consistent over the last 4 games, getting to this number or over this number, 24 or more over the last 4 games for completions. And let's be frank, if they're going to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, they got to throw the ball. But I don't want to worry about yardage, because what happens if it's a lot of dinking and dunking and he winds up like 210 yards passing, okay? So everyone is on this over. I'm going to avoid the yardage, and I'm going to go Joe Burrow over 24.5 completions at -110. I am also going to go to 2 wideouts, 1 over and 1 under. And the under probably surprises you. I'm going to take the plus money on Jamar Chase under 5.5 receptions. Jamar Chase at home has been a very different wide receiver than Jamar Chase on the road. December 19th against the Broncos, 1 reception, 3 yards. January 9th at the Browns, 2 receptions, 26 yards. January 22nd at the Titans, 5 receptions, 109 yards. Okay, 1 57-yard reception was half the yardage he had in that game. He had a huge impact, but he only had 5 catches. Jamar Chase on the road this year, you have to go all the way back to October the 24th against the Ravens' horrific secondary for Jamar Chase to go over 5.5 receptions on the road. 8. Okay. I don't think Jamar Chase gets 5.5, and I got plus money on it. I'm going to take Jamar Chase under 5.5 receptions at plus 105. You can shop around and maybe find better plus money on that. That allows us to have that one big play. You can have that huge play. You want to bet the under, his yardage is all over the place. 85, 88, 89, 92. I've seen 93. I've seen. So like you can go under on that if you want, but then if he pops one big one, you get screwed and you lose, right? So I'd rather just stay away from whether or not Jamar Chase has a big play and just how many times does Jamar Chase actually catch the football. And they want to force feed him, right? But the Chiefs know that. The Chiefs, you have to, like they did to Stephon Diggs, they took away Diggs today. I think they're taking away Jamar Chase today. I'll get the football every once in a while, and that's where that one big play could happen. But I got plus money on it. I'm going under 5.5 receptions for Jamar Chase. And I'm taking the over on Tyler Boyd, over 38.5 yards receiving on Tyler Boyd, because I think somebody else is going to have to step up. And Boyd's been very quiet. He's been weirdly quiet. And I think this number actually is too low. If Burrow's going to throw for 290, 300 yards here, like everyone's projecting, it's not all going to go to Jamar Chase. It's not all going to go to T. Higgins. It's going to go to everybody. So the lowest of the numbers is Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins was around 50, around 90 for Chase. Boyd's got 38.5. I'm going over 38.5 receiving yards for Tyler Boyd. All right. So on this game, first game of the day at noon, Chiefs hosting the Bengals. We're going plus 7.5 at -120. Matt saying that BetMGM in Vegas still has that. Well, that's pretty good. BetMGM and BetMGM Vegas, BetMGM plus 7.5. So you can get that still at -120. That's what I took. Plus 7.5. Bengals. They must be really heavy on Chief money. They must be begging for Bengals money. If they're the only one sitting there at plus 7.5, they're begging for Bengals money. They must be really heavy on the Chiefs. I'm going plus 7.5, -120. I'm teasing the total down to 48.5 and betting over. Joe Burrow over 24.5 completions. Tyler Boyd over 38.5 receiving yards, and Jamar Chase under 5.5 receptions at plus 105. All right. Those are my 5 plays on the first game. Second game, Rams hosting the Niners. Number opened at 3.5, touched 4 briefly, came back to 3.5 at FanDuel. 63% of the money on the Rams. 63% of the bets on the Rams. 68% of the money on the Rams. Total is 45.5. It's pretty much been 46, 45 in that range. For this game, you got 51.49 on the bet count to the over and the under, and 63% of the money coming in here on the under. A lot of people are jumping on the under. Very popular. I'm going to tease it up to 51.5. I'm going to cross that 51 number, which I really like, and take the under here. If you go 45.5, add 6-point teaser, you get it up to 51.5, and I've got under. So I'm on Niners plus 3.5 and the under 51.5 teased up. I'm going to go back to the stack that I did in the last game for the Niners, and I'm taking Jimmy Garoppolo over passing, over 222.5 yards passing. Jimmy Garoppolo in the first matchup went way over this. The prop bet cheat sheet for BettingPros has this as the number one prop on the board that they like. They see a 280 game coming out of Jimmy Garoppolo. All we need is 223 out of Jimmy G for him to throw the football. I know the team is going to be nervous about the WTF throws that he does. And against the Cowboys, the team was basically in the game, in control, throws the pick. They almost lose the game. I mean, last week he got away with a couple of really lucky throws that weren't intercepted, that really didn't burn Garoppolo. I understand that point, but this defense for the Rams, they play a lot of zone, and Garoppolo just eviscerates. This is what Patriot quarterbacks do, okay? If you go back and look at the way the Patriots performed against the Steelers historically, what Tom Brady did to the Steeler defense who played zone consistently against him, his best numbers were against zone defense with the Patriots. Garoppolo came up in that system learning the same way. And he does the same thing here with the Rams. He just sees zone well because Garoppolo always goes inside out. If you look at where he wants to throw the football, he always wants to throw the ball over the middle. That's why guys like Kittle, I don't mind a Kittle over today, by the way, but like Kittle, Samuel, the guys he throws to primarily, he will throw to Ayuk as well, but a lot of times Ayuk is on a crossing route. Garoppolo's eyes generally go over the middle. When you're playing zone, it's not man-to-man. You kind of see it all really quickly. You see where everyone is, and you can pick and throw the ball. That's what he does really well. I think he does that today against the Rams. It's why he threw the ball so well against them in the first matchup 4 games ago. I think he does it again. I'm going over Jimmy Garoppolo, 222.5 passing yards. And who's he throwing to? Look, the best player on the field is going to be Deebo Samuel. All right. He's the most versatile. He's the most exciting. Ball in his hands. You want to get this guy as many touches as possible. I'm going over on both his receiving and his rushing. Over 50.5 receiving yards, Deebo Samuel, and over 40.5 rushing yards for Deebo Samuel. He got them both in the first matchup. I think he'll get them both in the second matchup. I mean, I know Elijah Mitchell's got to run the ball, and he could very well do it. I get it. But I think there's a decent shot that in the beginning part of the game, they're going to try to run the ball with Deebo, and then throwing the ball, they could be down, and they may need to be throwing the ball quite a bit. And I think Deebo Samuel is going to be a big weapon. I mean, he can get these numbers each on 1 carry and 1 completion. They're pretty low, okay? Now, he sometimes has monster games, and sometimes teams can take him away. I don't think the Rams have the personnel to take away Deebo Samuel personally. So that's kind of chalky. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of chalky, but, it is what it is. DraftKings has just sent out their latest numbers, their latest splits. We're looking at -7 for the Chiefs with 69% of the handle and 54% of the bets coming in on Kansas City. The under 54.5, still not that popular. 72% of the money and 72% of the bets on the over 54.5, but the number has not gone to 55, guys. That's something to look at, okay? It hasn't gone to 55. All the money's coming in. We're not seeing it pop. That's because that 28%, that 29%, 30% of the money that we're seeing on the under for Bengals Chiefs is respected pro money. And they're saying in a playoff game, in a championship game setting, we're not going to see a shootout. We're not going to see this is not like a mid-October game where guys are banged up and tired or rested or not focused. Like, we're going to get the best effort out of both these teams. And, what's a possibility? Chief blowout, right? That's the possibility. If you have a complete and total blowout win and it's, 35-10, right? Under comes in. Chiefs win, Chiefs cover, comes in on the under. Okay. If that happens, I'm dead because I may get my props. If that happens, the prop bets may come in, but I'll be dead on my other bets if that happens. I need the Bengals scoring. I need the Bengals live. I need the Bengals in this game for plus 7.5. And then at 3.5 for the Rams, minus 3.5, 55% of the handle and 61% of the bets. Public's on the Rams. Pros are on the Rams. Under now down to 45 at DraftKings. That's a half a point lower than FanDuel. 61% of the handle on the over. Interesting. 55% of the bets on the over. Well, that's an interesting split there. So DraftKings is heavy on the over for the Rams and the Niners, and the numbers coming down. So you have that fun reverse line movement at DraftKings. Take all these numbers with a grain of salt. You got to bet what you think today. Okay. As I said at the open, don't worry so much about what we're seeing here for a numbers perspective. Like, just don't. The most player props being bet on. Okay. Robbie Gould at DraftKings. Robbie Gould over 1.5 made field goals, even money. I like that. Aaron Donald over 4.5 tackles plus assists at plus 105. Don't hate that. Evan McPherson over 1.5 field goals made at minus 115. Nah, I don't know about that. Maybe. But if the Bengals are settling for field goals, I'm in trouble. That's not good. McPherson over 6.5 kicking points at minus 145. I don't hate that. That's not horrible because you get touchdowns, extra points, kick one field goal. They score 4 touchdowns, you get 4 points, 1 field goal, you get to 7. So that's kind of, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. You've got some of your boosts. People are asking about boosts and same game parlay type stuff. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd all to have 50-yard receiving is yes at plus 330. My concern is that you get 2 guys there and 1 guy doesn't get there. Tyler Boyd's number is 38.5, by the way. So if we get to 40 yards, I win my bet, but you would lose this bet. Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow to combine for 600 yards plus passing is plus 140 at DraftKings. Don't like that. Travis Kelce and Jamar Chase each to have 125 plus receiving yards is plus 200. No, don't like that. Don't think Kelce gets 125 today. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to combine for over 200 receiving yards is plus 195. No, I don't like that. And Tyreek Hill will have a 50-plus yard touchdown reception is plus 450. I mean, that's a flyer. You want to throw a plus 450 on that? There's a potential for that, but nah. Cooper Kupp to have 100-plus receiving yards and the Rams to score 33-plus team points is a yes at plus 400. Don't bet that. Deebo Samuel to have 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown is plus 700. Don't hate that flyer of a bet. It's a flyer. It's a lottery ticket bet. Don't hate that. Elijah Mitchell and Cam Akers to combine for 150 yards rushing at plus 170. No. What's frustrating about DraftKings, and this is where a book like Circa does a great job, there should be a no on the other side of this bet. And I'm not seeing no's. If you're going to put up one-sided markets are always advantageous to the book. Remember that, okay? Anybody who puts up a bet, okay, XYZ is going to happen, and they give you a yes price, they have to give you a no price. Okay. They don't give you a no price because professionals are going to bet the no, which is what DraftKings talks about. They don't want pro money, right? So they don't put up the yes or the no. They just put up the yes. And essentially it's a trap. They're just laying this out. They're giving you catnip to make you want to bet this because you're like, as I'm doing, oh, I could see that hitting. It's plus 700. Shoot, let's throw $500 or $5 on that or $10 on that, right? You can. It's a lottery ticket. One of these will hit and the vast majority will not. So they pay out, 10,000 bets at a yes, and they collect on 150,000 on the no when it doesn't hit, okay? One-sided markets where there's a yes without a no are bets you should not make, okay? Just FYI, the rules I've got for myself, I never bet one-sided markets. Even if it looks really attractive, I never bet one-sided markets. It's not fair to us as the player. This gives the books even a bigger edge when it comes to putting up lines. So just FYI. And finally, Odell Beckham Jr. and George Kittle to combine for over 150 passing yards at plus 175 to the yes. Again, I would say no to that. I don't think that's going to wind up coming in. So, okay, DK is Burrow 2 touchdowns at even money, $50 max bet. You know, I mean, Joe Burrow to throw 2 touchdowns, sure, I would throw $50 on that. I think that's possible, 100% for Joe Burrow to go over. I like over 1.5 touchdowns more personally, but Jimmy Garoppolo passing is 230.5. My book has it way juiced. Yeah, I mean, this is why book shopping matters. I mean, different books have different prices. Okay. I've seen prices all over the place this morning. Okay. I got up, I was up at 6:45. I was on my phone looking around all different books. I saw prices all over the place. Jimmy Garoppolo over 222.5 passing was the low that I found here in Vegas. So I bet it. Deebo Samuel 40.5 Deebo for rushing and 50.5 receiving also were the lows. I mean, shop around. You should have multiple books at this point in the season. You should have at least 3 books. Okay. You should have more. I have more, but you should have at least 3 books to go ahead and then take the bets you like. And then go ahead and write it out. Okay. Take a piece of paper and write it out and write down what each book is going to have and say, okay, here, and then kind of figure out what the best price is and go ahead and bet it. Okay. That's the best way. Line shopping is one of our biggest advantages as gamblers. All right. We have that chance to line shop. They put up the price. They have to. We don't have to buy it. Somebody says, hey, I want to sell you a bottle of soda, for $20. And you're like, nah, I'm good. That guy's got it for $1. I'm going to that guy who's going to give it to me for $1. That's how you go ahead and buy it. Okay. That's price shopping. Okay. And so numbers on props and what juice you're paying all matter. Okay. In the long run, it all matters. Even if you're a $10 bettor, it all matters. The price you're buying and the number you're playing all is important. So just keep that in mind. Deebo Samuel over 4.5 receptions at plus 120 sounds like a lock, according to Thomas. Well, 1, there are no locks. And 2, I don't know. Okay. The reason why we don't know game script, okay, until the game gets played out, you could get game scripted out where Deebo is not in the passing attack. If he's gashing the Rams running the ball, they're not going to throw to him. They'll just keep on running him. Okay. So that's why I prefer the yardage over receptions or rushes, because we don't know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do because he has the first 15 plays scripted and he sees what works. And then he goes ahead. If you really pay attention to what works for the Rams in the first 15, for the Niners against the Rams in the first 15 plays, because you're going to see a lot more of that the rest of the game. So if Deebo Samuel is catching the ball and running the ball like crazy in the first couple of catches he'll be catching the ball a ton during the game. If it's, he catch a couple of swing passes and they're out on the edge and they're blowing up that Rams secondary and they're getting the linebackers and he's going, 10, 15 yards a clip, they're going to run Deebo Samuel a lot. So just FYI on that. That's why I went ahead and went with both, and I'm on both because I do think it's there. Chip is asking, is Brady retiring? Well, look, I've been saying that Tom Brady was going to retire after this year for months now. So what happened yesterday was Tom Brady got scooped, and Tom Brady is pissed off that he got scooped. Brady wanted to have what Roethlisberger had. Roethlisberger went ahead and rolled out this big video and he got all the accolades and it was going to come out on Monday, right? We're in a dead week. So it's the week of no action besides the Pro Bowl. So it's a perfect week. Everyone's going to be focused, get it out of the way during this week, get all the love and praise on Monday, Tuesday. And then by the time we get to later in the week, we start talking about the Pro Bowl and everyone starts getting ready to go to Los Angeles for the Super Bowl. So that's my read on it, is that somebody couldn't hold their water and they spilled it because there's some website, movie, video, something's coming out that has Brady saying goodbye. And Brady's really mad that he got it scooped by ESPN and the NFL Network. The NFL Network was tweeting about it all day yesterday. The NFL was tweeting about it all day yesterday. I cannot see this being wrong I can't see Brady all of a sudden doing an about face and being like, oh, psych, I'm playing now. I know he called the Bucks, and I mean, but Jason Light's a friend of Brady's, so Brady might be say, hey, do me a favor and put this out here that I'm not going anywhere. I think Brady wants to monetize it. Brady has tried to monetize everything in the later part of his life, with TB12 and, different production companies he has started, man in the arena type of thing. Okay. These are all Brady organization type of activities. So to me, I think tomorrow Tom Brady is gonna retire. I think tomorrow we'll hear it, but I'm not buying that Brady's having cold feet. I'm not buying any of that. I think Brady is retiring. And I just think he's angry that the media somebody did not keep their mouth shut. Somebody spoke to the press and let it out that, because ESPN was running with that all day yesterday on the bottom line, even when Brady Sr. and the Bucks, everybody else was coming out and saying, oh, no. They still held strong to it. So I think the level of confidence that ESPN has on the reporting is pretty good. So I don't think Brady was trying to dupe ESPN or get one over because of Deflategate or anything like that. He may wait till Tuesday, but I think this coming week, Tom Brady will officially retire from the NFL. So just my take. Tyreek Hill, anytime touchdown. I don't mind anytime touchdowns, but this is the playoffs. Okay. So here's my thing. When it comes to a championship game, the more logical the bet, the better in my mind. Like Kelsey, Hill, I don't think exotics is the way to go. The players aren't going to be leaning on some unknown player with some unknown touchdown, maybe for a first touchdown, but I don't know. I think anytime touchdown to me today, I'm not going to get involved with it. I like other prop bets better than anytime touchdown. And I don't think there's a whole lot of value. The books have really shaded it. There's a lot of, first time touchdown for Kelsey, the first touchdown for the game for Kelsey is plus 500. I don't mind that. I hit that 2 weeks ago or last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I hit that in the first game for the Chiefs. I hit Kelsey first time touchdown for $500. Or sorry, for plus 500, not $500, plus 500. So I don't mind that bet. I mean, you can throw flyers. I just don't think that they're really profitable and really, there. Todd saying he goes the opposite. Coaches go deeper into the bag to keep defenses on their toes. Yes, maybe. But do you want to bet money on that? Like, which fat guy touchdown scoring? Which fullback is getting the ball? Which fifth string wideout is catching a football? Like, we're betting on this, okay? It's not like, I think you're right about coaches needing to put people in their bag, but like, this is where you get yourself in trouble. Okay. So you paint that picture and you go ahead and say you take $25 and you bet on every big plus money person that you've got. All of a sudden that doesn't happen. You're down $100, like quickly right there. You've lost $100 in the game because you need one of those crazy plus 400 to hit for you to cover your bets. I get the philosophy. I know people who do that. Okay. Every week, I know people who do that, who literally go into a game, they break it down. They'll take $50, $100. They'll sprinkle it across 4 guys who have to score. And if one of those guys hit, they've made money. They're profitable. They go one for 4 on their wagers, but they're up. They're profitable because of the plus 400, plus 500 hit. Okay. I get the philosophy. It's just not one that I like to do. That's more lottery ticket betting to me than actually like game script and breaking down a game and seeing how the game's going to go. So that's just my, that's just my deal. So here we go. Yeah. Anyways, people are writing weird things in the chat. Burrow and Mahomes both go over 250 yards passing. Maybe. Yeah. Chip says Stafford for an interception prop. Yeah, but it's minus 160, I believe, for Stafford on that. Last I saw is minus 160. So I think he does throw a pick. I think Garoppolo throws a pick. I think, Garoppolo. Yep. Jusic does go. Yeah. I mean, that's possible. Anytime touchdown, fullback touchdown for the Niners. Yeah, I could see it. Sure. It's a lottery ticket, but I can see it if you want to throw around. I mean, if you want to do that. So, okay. So before we wrap here, let me reset everything as to where we are today. If you're just joining us late here for the live stream. Okay. Side plus 7.5 Bengals, plus 3.5 for the for the Niners. I will do a personal teaser. I'm not going to do it officially, but I am going to tease both those dogs up. Okay, I am going to do that personally and see how that goes. So it would be a plus 13 and a plus 9.5 for that. So I do like that, but we won't do that officially. I am officially teasing the totals: 48.5 to the over, 51.5 to the under on either game. All three of those bets are 1-unit bets. For the quarter unit prop bets for today, 6 of them to give you guys. In the first game, Joe Burrow over 24.5 completions, Tyler Boyd over 38.5 yards receiving, and Jamar Chase under 5.5 receptions. I understand about Patrick Mahomes. I understand about the Chiefs. There's just a lot of public money on their props. There's a lot of public money on Burrow props too, but I feel like every number for the Chiefs is juiced up by either a reception or 25 yards. I mean, Patrick Mahomes rushing is like 30.5 yards today, which I think is way too high for a quarterback. He did it on one run last week. Okay. He is a more willing runner in the postseason. I'll give you it. But like if he runs 2 times for 14 yards and picks up 2 first downs, that's pretty big for him. He doesn't care about how many yards he's running. He cares about first downs, keeping the chains moving. That's why he's running. So I don't like that number of 30.5. I think Hill's number is too high. I think Kelsey's number is too high. So I'm just, you could say, Matt, why don't you bet the under? Well, it's the Chiefs. I know better than to bet under on Chief props. You're asking for it when you're doing that. So the play is the over or nothing, and I'm just choosing nothing when it comes to bet to Chief props. So Burrow over 24.5, Tyler Boyd over 38.5 receiving yards, and Jamar Chase under 5.5 receptions at plus 105. That's plus money on Jamar Chase. For the late game, I am on plus 3.5, and I've teased the total up to 51.5, and I've taken the under in this game for the late game. Teasing totals, not something I'd recommend. Championship day, a little more of a I'll break my own rule. I tend not to bet totals. I haven't done that in a while, but I really teasing totals equally. But I think the numbers are right here for these totals. I think they're going to come down to 3 points one way or the other. So might as well give it 6 points, pull it down, go with the over on the early game and under in the late game. Jimmy Garoppolo over 222.5 passing yards. People are telling me that this is not a number I should be betting, saying you should bet the under on this because Garoppolo is going to struggle. But I think that Rams defense can be had throwing the football. Jimmy threw for 285 in the first matchup. He threw for 326 in the first matchup. I don't think he throws for 326, but I just need 223 yards out of Garoppolo here today. Over on that, minus 110. Deebo Samuel over 50.5 receiving yards. And I'm going Deebo Samuel over 40.5 rushing yards. I just think Deebo Samuel is going to be a beast today for this Niner offense, and he has to be the best player on the field for the 49ers. I don't hate a Kittle play. If you want to add in and sprinkle on Kittle over or a Kittle touchdown, don't mind that. I do think Kittle's going to have a big game. He's been a non-factor so far. As good as he is, he's been a blocker. He hasn't been as big of a weapon in the passing attack. I do think he's a bigger weapon in the passing attack here today against the Rams. I'm not going near Cooper Kupp. It's 100, 101, 102. 7.5 receptions is right there. It's kind of like the Steph Curry 3 prop where like 4 is the number. 8 is the number for Cooper Kupp. He's either going to have 7 or 9. Okay. One or the other. 8 is kind of the number where he falls right around. And I mean, he had 183 yards in the last game, but 2 of those catches were late in the game. Big play and the over-the-top catch to set up the field goal. I mean, how does that guy get behind the defense? We're still wondering how the Bucs let that happen. But I can't go with. I mean, this is public. Okay, this is the Rams. It's Cooper Kupp. Everyone's on Cooper Kupp receptions over 7.5. Everyone's on Cooper Kupp over 100+ yards receiving. Pros are on the under. I'm just not gonna play around with either or. He could shatter it easily, but more than likely he's going under his props. That would be my read, would be under the props. Matthew Stafford in trouble getting pressure. One of the beautiful things that the Niners defense can do is they can get pressure without having to blitz. Okay. That defensive line, there's so much talent. It's the offensive line for the Rams is okay. It's not great. They get pressure on Stafford. Stafford has a tough time getting the ball out to Cooper Kupp. And I think they'll try their darndest to bracket him. And maybe you say, okay, fine. Then go the other side and go and find other receivers that may be open, Higbee in the red zone and whatnot. Okay, maybe. I mean, that's possible, but I wouldn't sit there and go, yeah. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., everyone's like, bet on Beckham over. I don't hate that. You want to take over. But what happens if they don't pass the ball well at all today? And they take away both wideouts, take away Beckham and take away Kupp. Then what? So that's I always try to get to a situation where, because I think something's going to happen, what goes on that prevents me from cashing. And on prop bets, I think we can do that a lot. Higbee under is live. I would agree with that. Kittle receptions or yards. I would go yards over receptions personally, just how little Kittle's been used. So hopefully if you get one or two big plays out of Kittle, you go over at 50, 51, I think it is 50 and a half, 51 yards. So I like that. Does Jalen Ramsey typically shadow Debo? No. Jalen Ramsey doesn't shadow anybody. I mean, Jalen gets lined up on certain guys, but he doesn't shadow everybody. I mean, he didn't shadow Mike Evans last week. He doesn't shadow guys. They move him around, but he's not he doesn't follow one person. And frankly, the biggest weapon for Debo is out of the backfield as a running back. So that's up against a linebacker, not against Ramsey. If they commit Ramsey to a running back, that screws up a lot, and that will leave other guys wide open. That could really help George Kittle. So Kittle, I would say Ramsey on Kittle, probably a pretty good thought. He'll be on him quite a bit, but Ayuk and company as well. The more they want Samuel up against linebackers, that's what they want. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. This was a lot of fun. I'll be in the Discord channel throughout the day today. 3:00 each time kick for the first game here. Hopefully the Bengals show up and play well. I will be back tomorrow morning for the Daily Juice podcast. Let's have some fun. Let's hope these bets cash. If you missed any part of the predictions, I always put them in the Discord channel. I list all the bets in case you missed any of them. Thank you for being here. Super Bowl Sunday, most likely the next time you'll see us for this live stream with Betting Pros.